All right, welcome in everybody to Sure Buddy podcast. We are going to be talking about Week 11 waiver wire wide receiver wishfuls. What does that mean? Well, here at Sure Buddy, we don't talk about fancy stats. We're not going to tell you about DVOAs or about air yards or about target depth or anything like that. What we're going to do is we're just going to talk about what we just saw in Week 10, what to do about it in Week 11, and see if any of these guys are going to be your playoff deep run championship league winners, or can they at least just get you through the Week 12 apocalypse that's coming. So that being said, let's dig into it. Omar, how you doing, man?
I'm good, man. I'm good. I got a couple people on bye, so I'm a little worried this week. I think the Giants are on bye, so neighbors and the target hog that is Wandale Robinson, and they're on bye. Tampa Bay's on bye, so I know Evans wasn't playing, but Kate Otten he's on bye. So those are two big Arizona. So Marvin Harrison Jr. That's another one that a lot of people have on their roster, so they got some holes to fill this week. So there's a couple players that I saw play Week 10 that really stood out. Let's jump right into it. I mean, the first one was Bills legend himself, now on the New Orleans Saints, Marquez Valdez-Scantling. He had three catches, 109 yards, two touchdowns. Um, Monster day for MVS.
Bill's legend. Huh. Okay. Well, if he was such a legend, he'd still be on the Bills.
Well,
Monster game for sure. It's one of those games where you're watching him catch pass after pass and touchdown after touchdown, and you're thinking like, why didn't I have the foresight to pick this guy up? Like, there's nothing like a week like this to make you feel like you're like basically an idiot. Like you don't know anything about fantasy, make you feel bad about yourself because you're like, man, if I'd done my research, I would have known that this guy's out and that guy's out, and I could have looked at their depth chart. But it is what it is. You're never going to be able to predict these things. But what do you see for him going forward?
Well, look at it this way. Olave got knocked out last game or 2 games ago. He's on the IR. Shahid's out for the season. Name me another wide receiver.
Bub
Bub
means
Means. Yeah, name me another wide receiver. And
Alvin
Carr
Kamara.
actually, Kamar likes to throw it deep. I mean, even when Shaheed was playing in the beginning of the year before Carr got hurt, he was launching them down the field where Shaheed was a viable fantasy option week to week. I think it was probably the best he's ever done since he's been in the league. Now with MVS, it's boom or bust really. I mean, before last week, he had three catches all season, and then he had three catches last week for 109 yards. He had what? 9 yards before, no, sorry, 31 yards before that. So, um, but he's the only real big target there. So I mean, if Carr's going to be throwing it up, you got to figure New Orleans is going to be playing with a negative script. They're going to be down. Most likely, it's going to be, they're going to have to throw the ball. They got Cleveland next week. Cleveland's got still a pretty good defense. They got a good secondary. So, but it's in New Orleans, so the weather shouldn't be a factor. I think he's not a bad pickup. It's kind of a boomer bust pickup if he could catch a couple bombs and put up good fantasy numbers. I Is he going to put up another 20 plus point game? I doubt it, but
Okay.
uh,
Okay. So we'll probably need to force rank the guys we're talking about today, taking what you just said into consideration, because fortunately, I think you and I are on the same page on this one. I'm exactly where you're at. I don't actually have anything to add to that. I think we can move on to the next guy because I'm exactly there, man. If none of these other guys are available, I'm definitely making sure I get MVS. But he's boom or bust, dude. Go with go with your game script, your gut instinct for a game script. And if you think they're going to be down and tossing balls to try and make it up, then great, have them on your starting roster that day. Who's next
yep,
up?
Pittsburgh game-winning touchdown catcher himself, Mike Williams.
The
What are your
Revenge
thoughts,
of
Jay?
Mike Williams. I honestly felt good for that guy. Like the way that he was publicly humiliated and ushered Devonte Adams in the door, and the Jets have won 8 games since then.
One game,
One game,
one game.
and now he's on potentially Super Bowl contender.
Oh, well, you can say that for another pod.
Ooh.
I'm not a big Pittsburgh believer. I mean, are you buying into the Russ Renaissance? I don't know, but for
Hell
Mike
yeah,
Williams, look, he was never a big PPR monster, even with the Chargers. He was again, he would catch a lot of deep balls, a lot of jump balls. Look, he was only there for a week when he got traded. He only had one target. It was a big one catch for 32 yards and a touchdown. But that's what I mean, with a lot of attention being moved over to George Pickens, I mean, Mike Williams could get a lot of one-on-one matchups that could be favorable for him. I mean, he's shown that he doesn't need a lot of separation to make a lot of catches in back when he was with the Chargers.
dude. I've always been in on Mike Williams. I love this guy. I'm buying the Russ hype. Um, Pittsburgh City, let's ride. I'm full on, full
It's
on. I'm full on buying the hype. Steelers to the Super Bowl. Mike Williams, Super Bowl MVP. Book it right now. I think you got to chase him, if anything. Uh, Look, George Pickens, there's two things here. A, he's kind of an idiot. So he's going to do something stupid. He's just going to get himself ejected, maybe even a crazy injury. So I'm banking on the downward spiral at some point of George Pickens. We're already starting to see it, and it seems like now this is the fourth or fifth Steelers wide receiver to do this. We can always count on one to go awry every year. So, yeah, man, I'm just buying the Mike Williams. Like, if anything else, right? He's just a big enough target for Russ to just say, "Go get it."
You worried about Arthur Smith as their OC just being a ground and pound offense with Najee and Jalen Warren and just not
He's
enough passing volume to make it worthwhile?
I don't think that's been as much of a concern since Russ took the reins. Prior to, yes, this thing was unpredictable. But since he's taken the reins, man, I'm with it. I think Mike Tomlin is a strong enough personality to keep him in check.
Okay. We'll see. We'll see. I mean, Mike is a strong personality, but he's got some good matchups coming up. He got Baltimore next week, which is literally the best defense you could play against
Mhm.
for passing purposes. He got 2 games with Cleveland, with 1 game with Cincinnati in between. Cleveland's actually ranked third worst in pass defense, surprisingly enough. So, and Cincinnati hasn't been great. That's going to be a shootout as well. So, there
The-
may be a lot of points, a lot of yards in play here for the Steelers in the next couple of weeks, right before the
exactly. Yeah,
playoffs.
definitely. Who's next up?
Next up, we got John Mechie III from the Houston Texans. He had a breakout game too. 6 catches, 6 targets, 5 catches, 74 yards, and a touchdown. Look, coming out of Alabama, he was the wide receiver stud that came out that year for Alabama. I think he had lymphoma or cancer or something
Mhm.
where he was out for a year, but now he seems back. Um, Tank Dell's still doing well. Nico Collins comes back next week, which is a little bit worrisome, but it's also a hamstring, right? You can always maybe keep Mechie on your roster in case as like a handcuff in case Nico goes down.
I think the question is entirely the way to look at it is John Mechie, Stephon Diggs, or is John Mechie Tank Dell? And what I mean by that is, Tank Dell, CJ Stroud, best friends, buddies, holding
Yep.
hands, eating breakfast together and doing the whole thing, like the typical like cliche of quarterback wide receiver. Coming into the season probably caused Tank Dell's draft stock to be elevated, artificially inflated, just off of vibes. We didn't see that translate to production.
Nope.
And literally it's taken both Stephon Diggs and Nico to go away for Tank to pick up some of that production. So now that Nico's back, is Tank going to remain in the like? Is he going to become the wide receiver two, or is he going to fall back to that wide receiver three, go route, spread the field guy, and now John Mechie becomes? I'm assuming kind of operating. We're hoping operating in like that X receiver role. I guess it just depends on how you think they're going to utilize him.
But here's the thing, Mechie's pretty well built. I mean, he's 6 feet, almost 200 pounds, while Tank Dell is very much a slot receiver, 5'7", 5'8", 100 and what, 60, 70 pounds at most. But he's a burner, and he's shifty. So maybe he's going to be in the slot while Mechie's lining up outside, opposite of Nico. Nico's taking up all the attention. Everyone's going to be looking at Nico. Um,
I think in that scenario, John Mechie stays on the bench. Stays on the waiver wire, I should say.
on the waiver wire. You think Nico's going to get his, Tank will get his in the slot, and then Mechie's not enough volume to,
Yeah, I think the only receiver outside of Nico to own in this team is whoever's operating in the slot.
yeah. And game script wise, they got Dallas. They should be in the lead. Mixon should eat. There should not be a lot of passing yards. Then Tennessee, then Jacksonville with, return of the Mac. There's Houston should be up early and often with on all three games, and so there may not be that much passing necessary in terms of a game script for Mechie to be worthwhile. I'm with you. I wouldn't waste any fab money or a waiver
Yeah,
wire claim on him.
yeah, make him a thing of the past.
Yep. Now, I'm pretty impressed to be honest when I was looking at his numbers. Alec Pierce of Indianapolis. I mean, he only has 23 catches in 10 weeks, but he has 516 yards and 4 touchdowns. That's pretty solid for a pretty dysfunctional offense with AR-15 for a while. Joe Flacco has not looked like the Joe Flacco of last year, the comeback player of the year. He has not looked that great, even though Pierce had a good game last week.
Did you? Maybe I'm misremembering it, but did you see that wild um, pass that just went through Alec Pierce's hands? I want to say it was in the end zone where it was thrown. I would say probably about 8 feet high, like
Yep,
8 to 9 feet high. And this dude just did a standing leap and went up to go and get it, extended, and
yep,
he almost had it. He just couldn't tighten the mitts around it and bring it in. He's the supreme athlete.
he is.
His usage, though, is something that's like quietly going under the radar just because of how frustrating the Anthony Richardson, Joe Flacco drama has been, that nobody's really talking about the fact that Michael Pittman's been a disappointment. They
Yep.
have no tight end to speak of. They have literally no pass catchers that are popping off of the page. And then you have Alec Pierce, who's consistently week in after week out, committing like just superhuman feats, and he's just flying beneath the radar.
I mean, look, Pittman's got a back and a finger. He's been hurt all season. Who knows, if he comes back, what his level of play is going to be. Josh
I'm
Downs
just
is the only
convinced he
one.
sucks, to be honest.
I was never a big fan, to be honest.
Yeah.
But Josh Downs is a pretty good slot receiver. AD Mitchell's been kind of a disappointment, to be honest. I mean, maybe this is why he kind of fell in the draft into the second round. I thought he was going to be a little bit more of a hit the ground running type of wide receiver, but he's been underperforming. He had a decent game last week against the Bills, but overall over the season, not great.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, it's hard for anybody to be a standout really at this group, right? Like,
Yeah,
Eddie
that's
Mitchell
true.
could be good. I mean, I bet you if you threw him on the Chiefs, he'd probably have 3 or 4 touchdowns in the next game.
I don't know,
Um,
man. Look at Worthy.
but
Worthy's falling off.
yeah, and that's I guess that's kind of the and I guess that's kind of the role that he's taken on in the Colts offense, is the Xavier worthy of maybe not the same level of speed, but just the literally everyone else is covered. Oh hell, where's he at? All right, let's give him a shot. But Alec Pierce is the guy that's there to bail them out whenever they need it. So
Hey,
I'm
uh,
I'm
he
all in on Alec Pierce if it's a keeper league. I would love to start my next season with Alec Pierce on my bench and potentially have
yep.
him as a keeper. Is he going to contribute to like a deep playoff run or championship? I strongly doubt it.
Yeah, he has a pretty tough matchup. He's got Denver and Detroit. I mean, he got the Jets coming up next week. So if Sauce, DJ Reed, those are pretty good corners. Now, in a way, he's kind of a white Mike Williams. Not a target hog at all, but he's just kind of you throw it up to him, he'll make big catches, maybe get a touchdown, maybe two, but
Yeah,
he's not a huge separator, but he's kind of a healthier version of Mike Williams.
a white Mike Williams.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. So I've never thought about him that way, but this is gonna like change my whole like thought paradigm of how I
Yeah.
approach Alec Pierce going
That's
forward.
my team name next year right there.
White Alex Pierce
White
or
Alec, White Mike Williams.
white. Okay, so let's do a couple of I guess like speed round takes. I'll just throw out a name and you tell me what your thoughts are about them.
Okay.
Okay, Ricky Pearsall.
Ooh, Ricky Pearsall, he played well. He's got some speed to him, got some good catches. Purdy hit him over the middle. He's still wide receiver three. I think Jawan Jennings and Debo are still going to be one and two, but Debo gets hurt a lot. I would stash Pearsall. I think that's a good bench move. If anything happens to Debo or Jennings is coming off a hip injury, if he's out of game, Pearsall is going to be right there. The Niners pass the ball. They get C-Mac is back. I think Pearsall looked good.
Man, low key, you could start a great team with skill position players who've been shot. Plaxico Burress,
Well,
Ricky
yeah.
Pearsall, Brian Thomas Jr., Tank Dell. That's the squad. And maybe that's the key.
Yeah. But they,
Get shot early on,
yeah.
recover quickly, and then, just I guess make your way onto stardom and fame
Yeah.
through next level athleticism.
And just play many men every time you enter the field, right?
There's definitely something there. So next year we need to figure out how to get Keon Coleman shot in the off season.
Keon Coleman, Khalil Tupac Shakir, those are the ones that need to take a bullet for us.
Khalil Shakir, that's where we need to go.
Yeah.
Watch out,
Hey,
Khalil Shakir, if you're watching this, we got you, bro.
what do you think about? I got one for you. Uh, Ray McLeod.
I think he's
It
honestly, I don't want to go like too far into him just because I literally feel this way. He is John Mechie to me. Like there's no difference in Ray McLeod and John Mechie to me. Just because you have the added factor of Kyle Pitts. So yeah, if everybody else drops dead, then McLeod is wide receiver one.
Yeah, it's tough with Mooney there. Mooney's had a great year.
Mooney's been a stud
Drake
this year.
Drake has stepped up. Pitts has stepped up. I mean, Kirk's really done a good job in terms of just kind of spreading it around.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, Ray's got 35 catches, 335 yards over the on the season. It's not too bad.
It doesn't stand out
Uh,
unless you're in a 14-team league, though.
yeah, exactly. And if you're unless you're desperate with a bunch of buys, you
Yeah,
need somebody. I
maybe
would go pick up.
week 12, 14-team league, and maybe a Kyle Pitts injury that's starting to linger. Then he legitimately could be like a wide receiver too.
Or Drake goes out. I mean, he was coming off a hip pointer, right?
No,
So
no, don't
don't. I knew you didn't want to put that out there. I know he's on your
don't
team.
put don't you put that evil on me, Ricky Bobby.
All right, give me one more, and then we'll wrap this up.
Cortland Sutton.
Cortland Sutton. Ugh. I just don't like that Denver offense. I mean, Cortland Sutton, I feel, is more of a name than he is in terms of producing.
Probably having like
Um,
45 points in the last 2 weeks.
I think really that maybe it just went under the radar for me. Um,
Yeah, I know
I,
because they've been on my bench.
oh, oh yeah. I mean, actually, the last 3 weeks he had 8 catches for 100 against Carolina, 7 for 122 against Baltimore, 6 for 70 with a touchdown against KC.
This
That's
is
big numbers. Those
This
are
is
big
where
numbers.
name equity matters because his freaking name is Cortland Sutton. No one is aware of what he's been doing, but quietly, Bo Nix and him have been developing a hell of a
Yeah.
connection. So I think that's really interesting. I really doubt. Are you able to see what his Yahoo availability is percentage
Yeah.
wise?
Percentage wise, yeah, I can take a look here. He is,
He has to be at least like 87% rostered or something.
take a look here. 82%.
Yeah. Woof, damn, that was pretty good.
That was good.
Um, yeah, so in the rare just take a quick peek. Don't say anything to anyone. Don't talk to your buddy about him. Just take a sneaky look at the waiver wire. If he's on the waiver wire, pick him up immediately. And might even be worth throwing a speculative trade at somebody if somebody's got them like sitting on their like I do. Like if somebody sent me a Cortland Sutton trade, I would probably jump all over it. But throw someone just speculative trade if they're not starting him every week.
Yeah. And they got good matchups coming up. Atlanta, they got a good defense. Then Las Vegas, Cleveland, a bye, and then Indianapolis. So
I
those
would
will all be close games. I don't think Denver's blowing anyone out where they're going to be just running the ball the whole time.
low
I think,
key try to like the perfect target for him is like CD Lamb. So CD Lamb for Cortland Sutton plus. And
yeah.
I think the deal is more so who's the second guy is,
Yep.
but you can get Cortland Sutton thrown in,
He gets you
especially if
close.
it's like a Cowboys fan or something.
Yeah, he gets you close. He gets you, he makes it a reasonable trade. So,
Yeah, for sure.
yep. All
All
right,
right, well
brother.
that's it for today. Look forward to chatting with you next week. Keep an eye. Make sure to hit the like and subscribe button, and we'll see you for the next video.